Right, guys, welcome to the very first Men's Health Hacks YouTube video and podcast. And I've invited my good friend Harry James, who is the founder of Baldcafe.
Hello.
Which you will find all over Instagram and YouTube, because something that when you get to my age, late 20s, a lot of men go through, I feel, or they're on the verge of. Hair loss, receding, bald patches, that kind of stuff. And I've invited Harry because he is the founder of Baldcafe, which is, I'd describe it as a movement for helping people that are going through it find the self-confidence to either shave their head or decide what they want to do with it. And he's an expert in all those kinds of hair loss products and things that are on the market out there. So, how you doing, Harry? Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're in this beautiful new forest here. Got the two dogs here. It's a pleasure to be talking to you about all things hair loss.
Absolutely. So if you're wondering why we're wearing the headsets, it's a bit windy out here, so we've resorted to this just so you can hear the audio. So
Crispy.
Can you tell us what Baldcafe? What is Baldcafe?
Okay, so, just as a bit of background then, I started losing my hair probably as early as 16, but I wasn't aware of it until I was about 24.
Right.
And I was living out in China at the time. And, long story short, I was recording a video. I saw that I had this bald patch on the top of my head when I was watching the video back, and I thought my life was over. Honestly, there's a video on the YouTube channel. I recorded that exact moment.
What's it called?
The video is I think the video is called something like, we can link it, but it's something like, the first time I found my reaction to finding out I was going bald or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was tough because my dad is bald. And but he went bald very early. We're talking 21, 22. And I was 25, and I used to, check the front here, the bit where it recedes at the front. The hairline, yeah. And it was good as gold. Nothing, no problems. It crept up on me at the back. It started thinning at the crown. Okay, so I found out I was going bald, and I had a real tough time with it. I was with my fiance, and I thought, oh my God, because being out there in China, I had this sort of look, this like foreign Western man, perfect hair, crew cut. I had my hair longer for a bit like that, but then I'd had this sort of, short on the sides, long on top, styled it, and I liked it. I liked the way I looked. I worked out. I looked after myself. And when I found out I was going to lose my hair, I just had this horrible picture in my mind of this sort of, really old-looking grandpa, disgusting, no friends, no wife. Honestly, that was what the picture I had in my mind. I thought it was over. I thought it was all over. And, as soon as I found out it was going bald, I would constantly be playing with my hair, taking pictures of it all the time to see how bad it was thinning. It really changed my behaviors. And I struggled with it for a long time until, I asked for advice from my dad and on the internet out there. And I really, after a while, identified with this sort of movement, if you want to call it that, of, look, you can't change it.
Just accepting it.
Just accept it.
Yeah.
Shave it off and just move on with it. And eventually, that's what I did. I got haircut. I went shorter and shorter with the haircuts, and then eventually I said, you know what? Like when it was that real short style, you could actually see how bald I was going a lot more than when I had my hair long.
Yeah.
And so after having the short haircut for like 3 months, I just thought, you know what? Sod this. I'm just going to shave it all off.
Go all in.
Yeah. And I went in the barber shop, and I was literally like, just take it off. And he was like, no, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, no, get it off. I can't do this anymore.
Mind you, I remember because we've known each other since you were at university. I was at university, so about 9 years. And I remember when I first met you, you had a shaved head.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But that wasn't because of hair loss.
That wasn't because of hair loss. No, that was like literally one year for Halloween. I thought I'll go as Hitman, right? And so I'd had
wasn't
this
it Bane from Batman?
No, this was Hitman at the time.
Right. Okay. That was another one he did that he looked very, very good in.
I ended up just looking like a bouncer because I was working in this nightclub at the time.
Yeah.
Halloween or whatever. And I did the red tie with the suit and whatnot. And I shaved it off then. And then after I shaved it, I was like, oh, I quite like this. Because, I had that, before that, I had that sort of pretty boy look, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember the stages of like 20 when I met you, shaved head.
Yeah.
21, 22 was kind of crew cut, swept over.
Exactly, yeah.
24, 25 when we were in Los Angeles was curls.
Yeah, longer
curls
hair.
For the girls.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting the Skype call, like you say, when you were in China, and I seem to remember you said you bent down like that and sort of looked up, and that's when you saw your bald patch, because you're a tall guy, and obviously living in China, people are generally a bit shorter than 6 foot.
Yeah.
So, that was obviously the first time you saw it.
Yeah, so like you said, I shaved it before, and I kind of liked, people seemed to respect you more. I know it sounds stupid, but girls like that sort of clean-cut, pretty boy look. You got more attention that way. But then guys would just be like, get out of my way, no respect. And when I shaved my head and you working in the bar, it was weird. Just people like really respected you, and guys who would come into the bar, like, yeah, mate, I want 10 double vodka cokes. The type, tattoos, solid manly man. And when you had the shaved head, they'd be so polite. He'd be like, they'd wait, and they'd be like, oh, hi, mate, yeah, can I get, please and thank you. And I really noticed that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that had anything to do with it anyway, so I kept that look for, about 6 months. And then, eventually I managed to accept this whole baldness stuff. And I was making videos on YouTube, right, about apps, something totally unrelated. And then there was this app that you could Photoshop yourself, right? Hair, tattoos, bigger muscles, six-pack. And I did this review on this app. Whilst doing that video, I started to talk more about my own experience with the hair loss and how I thought, look, guys, if you've got something like, you think you're out of shape, don't be using some sort of app to like have this false image. Get in shape. If you've got no hair, just have no hair. You don't need to have some stupid app that is going to put hair on you, because that's not who you are. And I sort of talked about that in the video, and it was the first video that I'd made talking about apps and stuff that got a lot of feedback, and people were like, oh, can you talk more about what happened with your hair loss? So then after that, I made an entire video dedicated to talking about my experience, just like I'm talking about it now.
Right.
And it did really well on YouTube, like 1,000+ views or something, or 3,000 views. And again, guys were talking like, oh, this is, this really helped me, because I'm struggling with it. And I thought...
So just quickly, before you started Baldcafe, had you done... You made the decision to shave your hair off. Did you do much research online? Could you find any support or help or advice or recommended products or anything?
There was a few videos on YouTube, a guy called Max Da Silva, and he'd made videos talking about similar things. He was like, guys, honestly, it's not worth it. Just shave it off and get on with it. Work on your dress sense, work on your fitness. And that was one that I sort of identified with. Then there was another guy called, he's got a YouTube channel called Entrepreneurs in Cars. And he's a bald guy with a beard, very successful. He'd had some sort of business. He's actually been divorced, and he makes a lot of videos talking about relationships and stuff. Because of his look, people were asking him for advice on hair loss as well. And he gives it to you straight. He was like, guys, just bloody shave it off. Grow some facial hair if you want to, and get on with it. Don't worry about any of these treatments, these surgeries. You don't need it. And and I thought, God, like, he's right. I didn't want to. It made me feel almost pathetic that I was worrying about it so much. But it's not, because it's a tough thing, and I really did. I remember literally crying about it. Honestly, when I was really struggling with it, and I just felt so like everything was going to change. My whole appearance that I'd known for 25 years was going to change. And all, that had given me, I felt like that my look at that time had given me the amount of success I'd had up to that point. Stupid things, jobs and stuff like that, relationships, people's perception of me. But it hadn't, that's not what people really judge you on.
No.
The success I'd had is from, in work, if you like, was because I'd done loads of terrible jobs, and I'd worked hard, and I'd outgrown them, if you like. And
it's not like you're a good-looking guy, but it's not like you're a model or anything, where your looks are crucial to what you do.
Exactly. I'm not an actor or whatever, and so... But I remember literally being in tears, thinking, God, what am I going to do? But I interestingly enough, I never really looked at I did research the remedies that were out there to see if there was anything that could genuinely, get your hair back.
I can imagine there's a lot of
there's
faux crap all over the place.
Yeah, oils and ointments and stuff. And
yeah.
realistically, the only thing that's actually going to get it back is surgery, so a hair transplant, and you combine that with a drug called Propecia and another drug called a topical called minoxidil, right? If you can combine those three, you've got a good chance that you can, after a year of the surgery, recovering from the surgery and whatnot, you can get your hair back to, pretty much what it was looking like.
But there is a long period before when you first have hair plugs done, it is quite noticeable.
It's a year. Oh, yeah. It's 6 months where you've got the sort of scarring and it doesn't grow properly. And then after a year, you can, it does come back. But the problem is say, for example, you get it done at the front here, right? Or if I'd got a little crown patch here done, take it from the back, put on the crown here, I still need to take those drugs and do all that stuff and worry that, because the rest of it is going to fall out eventually.
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is you've replaced this bit, but then you're going to have to go back maybe 5 years later and get, more follicles taken from the back to put in the newly, the new area that started falling out. And I just thought, it's just not worth all of that hassle, and it's not solved the problem. Because I used to think about it every day. Literally every day, someone's taking a picture or I'm walking around and I'd be paranoid that people are looking, they've seen that my hair's falling out. We're sat here in the wind, so sorry for the audio if it's a little bit windy. But, and if I had the same hair now, I'd be sat here constantly playing with it, trying to cover it up. Because it was all wispy, where it had gone all thin, and I thought, let's just get it done. Let's just get it over and done with, and let's deal with this the right way.
So just quickly then, what is Baldcafe? Because that's something you've started since going through this sort of young hair loss, as we call it.
Like I said, I made that first video, and a lot of people really resonated with it. It helped them. And I felt so good being able to just literally talk about my own experience and what helped me, the mindset, the hobbies, the goals, all of that stuff that helped me get through it. I wanted to help other people do the same. And so, I started with the Instagram and on YouTube. So my first video talking about my experience and what I did, obviously I shaved my head. And then the next video I made was talking about how to shave your head. Next video we talked about how to get the confidence to shave your head for the first time. And it really snowballed like that. And a lot of people started coming to me and saying, on Instagram or email, thanks for the videos, they've really helped me out. And it was the first time where I'd really found something that I loved to do. I loved to put the videos together, and every time someone was like, this really helped me, I just felt this is so worth it, and you can't describe it honestly. Like, now I get a little bit of ad revenue from the videos and stuff.
But that's not why you're doing it, is it? That's not why you started it.
It's nothing on a message saying to someone, literally I've had messages that say, like, you've saved my life. People talking about they never went out, people talking about things like they only work part-time, they can't bear to work a full-time job, knowing that they could spend that much time outside and without access to the mirror and the hairspray and the hair fibers. This is a real thing, and people don't talk about it enough. People aren't open about it. Guys aren't open about it. So these people feel like they're the only one going through it, or there's something wrong with them because they're worried about it that much. But that's literally, they feel like that because a lot of people aren't coming out and saying, like, hands up, my hair's fallen out and it's crushed me. But the reality is there's hundreds of thousands of men that go through this, and that's exactly how they feel. It crushes them. Their confidence gone completely. Their whole life changed because of hair loss. And it started with me sharing my story, and Baldcafe has sort of grown into now other guys sharing that story, and other people can relate to it. They watch it for the first time. Now there's literally hundreds of guys I've got on the page, and we're up to almost 10 guys on the YouTube channel that come to me with their hair all thin, and they say, look, I'm going to shave it off, and we talk about it. So someone can now literally go on the Instagram page and find someone that kind of looks similar to them, because people worry so much about how it's going to look.
Change
and they
their
can
appearance,
exactly, and they can relate, a Hispanic guy or something, and 5'8", whatever. And someone who's got in touch with me, thankfully, and I really got to thank all the guys that want to share their story, and they can see oh, that's like me, and oh God, I'm doing that too. Like, I wear hats all the time, and they just relate to it. And by relating to it and hearing that story, that gives them the confidence then to say, this guy's done it, I can do it too. And they do it, and then I get a message back afterwards saying, just thank you so much for Baldcafe, what you started and what you've put together, and it's helped me out so much. And honestly, man, there's no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, if people ask me now, would you take your hair back? And for that reason alone, I never would.
Well, that's something there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's two things I've been really struck by since you've started Baldcafe and kind of following everything on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
And one is the, like you said, this was kind of an unspoken about topic.
Yeah.
I've got friends that are really massively receding, and they're hanging on to that last bit of hair until it literally falls out in front of them. And you think, oh, just shave it off. But one of the things is the amount of guys out there that have obviously responded to what you're doing, and you've really tapped into finding out that this is actually a problem for a lot of guys. And when I say a problem, I mean not the hair loss, but the dilemma of, do I keep it? Do I shave it off? I'm going through all this, don't I with my appearance? It's affecting my daily routine. So that's one thing, is it's just the amount of people out there, because your video is literally getting tens of thousands of views at the moment.
Yeah.
And the and the second thing, the fact that having gone through that, you now, if I said to you I could give your hair back to you like that, it's the fact that you wouldn't, because you found this new confidence through being bold and finding comfort in your new appearance.
Yeah.
So I think you've absolutely tapped into something there. Obviously, as you've gone through this journey, what would you say to someone that is in that dilemma right now where they don't know whether to shave their head, they mightn't have the confidence to do that, but they're in a position where they are losing their hair and they're noticing it and they're worried about it?
Okay, so I've obviously written a guide about this, so first thing I say is check out baldcafe.com, read my free guide.
There we go, baldcafe.com.
All my best advice is in there. But listen, the thing about the companies that promote all this hair loss treatments, okay, it's like it seems like a very easy solution to your problem. Okay, you don't have to do much. Hey, just use this shampoo, grow your hair back. Or, hey, just put this on your head, the minoxidil, twice a day, and it will help you hold on to that hair, right? But like I said earlier, where this is such a huge problem for so many guys, to the point where it literally is changing their lives detrimentally, right?
Yeah.
Though none of those things will solve that mental aspect of it, right? None of those treatments will solve that. This is very much, it starts off like an aesthetic problem, as in your appearance is changing, but it's such a mental battle, right? And so if you can't learn to accept that it's happening, right, and it's very difficult to accept, for harder for some than others, and if you don't tackle it, if you don't tackle that demon head on, right, pun intended, and you do what I see as the harder thing to do, right? Because it's harder to say, to accept it and say, there's nothing I can do about this. Because that's such a horrible feeling. But if you can get there, then you can expect to end all of that worrying once and for all and really move on from it.
Yeah.
If you decide that you're going to try, you're going to fight this, you're going to do whatever it takes to hold on to this hair, you will spend years and years and years of continuously worrying about it, researching about all these products. And significant
cash as well, because these things aren't cheap.
Exactly. You're going to spend a lot of money on it, and you're just going to get yourself into a bigger and bigger mess, quite honestly. And for me, that's the most important thing, and that's the reason why I promote this, acceptance stuff so much, is because, none of the things out there can cure it. There's no cure.
No.
There's things out there that can slow it down or can give you the appearance, right, that you haven't lost your hair. But there's nothing out there in the world that's going to get you back to, when you were 15, 14 years old with a perfect head of hair and you didn't know it was falling out. You never worried about it. There's nothing.
Well, you can't change genetics when you're at that age.
There's nothing out there that can get you back to that point, right? And you have to realize that. And if you can, right, and if you can accept that and decide what, then you go from that point and you say, okay, well, the next best thing is, this thin hair isn't really looking good. Let's just shave it off and rock a clean, good-looking shaved head, right? Then you need to fill, right? Once you've shaved it off, you've then got this space. All that time you're worrying about having hair, right? You've got no hair to worry about now. So you have to fill that mental space with positive things, right? So we got, a lot of people work out. A lot of people, change their financial situation, new job, new relationships. You fill it with those positive things. And when you start, achieving things in life, real things, right, that people actually care about, run a marathon, start a new hobby, tennis, whatever, anything that you can devote yourself to, train hard in, and make achievements in, if those things replace the worrying that you were doing, then you can 100% live perfectly happily without some damn hair.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing about this.
So if someone's watching this and they're looking for that one product in the local pharmacy for you to recommend, really there isn't one.
A razor.
A razor, yeah. I mean, that goes to say it. I mean, I can only think of the analogy that, like you said earlier, about if you do get hair transplants on your hairline or on your bald patch or something like that, if you've got that in your genetics, you are going to start losing your hair as you get older.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like having a garden, and there's one brown patch over there, so we're going to turf that brown patch. But if all the rest of this greenery is destined to go brown at some time, then it's only a matter of time. And unless you got the bank balance to cater for hair plugs, which are in the thousands, and a lot of time as well, and it's not an instant fix because it takes, well, like you said, nearly a year pretty much to see the full results again.
Yeah.
So unless you're able to accommodate that, then really there is no other option. And it's more about having the confidence to just accept it, embrace it, and, try new things, I guess. So
exactly, yeah. And, this whole acceptance thing, it definitely is, it's like you have to build up. You remember when you're a kid and you graze your knee and it's really sore and you put a big plaster on it and you have it on there for like 2 or 3 days. Right? And you know that you need to rip it off, get some air to that thing, let it really heal. But you're putting it off, it's going to really hurt, I don't want to do it. And you put it off and you put it off. But as soon as you rip it off and it hurts for a little bit.
The decision's made. You're not going to put that plaster back on.
It hurts for a little bit, but then it's done.
Yeah.
And it's, thank God for that. You know? And that's honestly what it feels like. And just again, it feels so good when someone sends me a message and I know that through the content I've put out, they can then experience that, because I know just how amazing it felt for me to just be done without worrying for good. And for other people to experience that too, it's awesome.
So if anyone's watching this on Men's Health Hacks and they are in that dilemma and they're thinking about shaving their head off and they want advice and tips on how to, what direction to go in with the razor or what the best razor is, all that kind of stuff, go to your channel, because I know for a fact you've got those videos and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we can't cover it in this video because we'll be here for quite some time.
Yeah.
But if you are watching this and you want to know, how to shave your head or what products to actually use doing that, the techniques, all that kind of stuff, then go to Harry's channel, Baldcafe, on YouTube, and all the videos are on there. There's also a Instagram which you can find on Men's Health Hacks, so go and check all that out. I want to move on to beards very quickly.
Yeah.
You've obviously got a big bushy beard.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
I haven't shaved for about a year and a half. No, not a year and a half. 15 months.
Because growing up, like when I say growing up, I mean, early, mid-20s.
Yeah, I had nothing.
You had nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't grow a beard to
like,
save my life.
I've got the old goatee, which takes me, that's probably about 5 days worth clean.
I couldn't
But you couldn't do anything, could you?
No, it was horrible. And I used to think, like, when I was even 18 and I had friends with, like, huge beards or really dense, thick stubble, and I'd be like, oh, God, like, why can't I grow a beard?
So how long did it take to get out of the Pubie stage?
Well, I mean, I'd say I'm still in somewhat of a Pubie stage. It's not.
I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but
this is the thing, right? It's not the best beard, but I like it. It's fun. It's just because you've got no hair doesn't mean you can't
have a
mix
beard.
up your appearance and engage in some self-care.
So
you just got to grow it, right?
Yeah.
Before 3 months, it looked really sparse. It looked horrible. It was super thin, and I wanted to give up on it so much. And I just persisted. And then after about 6 months, when the hairs get a lot longer, you can actually see like, oh, it's actually starting to fill in a bit, and it looks quite good. And if the right light hits it, in some beaming light, it doesn't look good. It still looks really thin and horrible, but if you've got some good light
in a photo,
and all the stars align, it looks quite good. And I think facial hair in general, just rock what you've got. But beards, they come much later. For if you look on any of those Instagram pages with all beards around the world, or like all of these beard pages, all of the guys on there are like 30, 40, 50, older guys.
It's taking time.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. And as you get older, the beards, they do get thicker. But, I can see for you there, you've got the goatee, but the cheeks,
Yeah, well, I actually trim this because I don't, it tends to climb my cheeks, but I'm not as dense on the cheeks as some guys.
Yeah.
Like some guys
Same
can go
with me.
literally up to their cheekbone and dense hair.
Yeah.
Mine kind of grows really strong under my chin.
Yeah.
Down the sideburns here and the moustache. But I remember not being able to grow these in-between bits here at one point, and I just had like a moustache and then the rest of it.
Yeah.
This is long for me because I'm normally quite clean-shaven.
Yeah.
I
I want to mention quickly, right? So what it also did is there's a thing where, we talked about the minoxidil that you can put onto your head, right? Well, there's a movement, again, about putting minoxidil in your beard, like on your facial hair, to help grow. So, for example, you would put it on your cheeks there twice a day, morning and night, and it helps your beard to grow.
Does it work?
And it works.
Okay.
But it will start to grow hairs in places that you didn't have. But they started off saying, 6 months. You need to do it for at least 6 months, and then you can keep those hairs. Then it changed to a year. You got to do it for a year. So I started applying it, pretty early on, about a month after, and I think it did make my beard thicker, more dense, looked better than it does now, because when I stopped using it, it kind of thinned out considerably, really.
Right.
And I used it for about 8 months. But then people were coming out saying that, you got to use it for like 3 years continuously. And I thought, oh, bugger this. It's the exact same problem as using it to hold onto your hair. I was like, if I have to rely on this to put this on my face every day, right, just so I can have an all right, thicker looking beard, again, I'm not my true self. I'm not
you're just
meant
transferring
to have a
one
beard
problem
like
from up there to down there.
exactly, and then I'm
so
relying on this stuff that I've got to put on all the time to have a decent looking beard, and you get white bits in it all the time. And I was paranoid that it was messing around with my heart rhythm as well. I would like wake up in the middle of the night with like a racing heart, do, like, when you first fall asleep. And I was like, oh, okay. And other people have said that it causes them to have heart palpitations. Yeah. And I thought, no, sod it. I stopped using it. I said, if it falls out, it falls out. And it did thin out a bit. But it's still, I enjoy having it.
But you're not using it at the moment?
I haven't used it for ages, mate. No, I haven't used it for at least, 7 months. And I don't recommend people start using it unless you literally have no facial hair whatsoever, and you're like 30 years old and you think, oh, would I like to have a bit? It's worth a try. Fine, go for it. But if you're like 17 and you can't grow a beard, that's just a matter of time, before you can start to get some facial hair. Like you said, literally 23, 24, I had nothing. I could grow hardly anything, little bit on the chin here, little bit of tash, but the weeks, like the
nothing
cheeks,
worth rocking.
nothing worth rocking.
So our guy that's watching this, and he's watched this and he's decided, right, okay, I'm going for it. I'm going to shave my head. Like the idea of having a beard. A few quick-fire questions about having a beard.
Sure.
One, does it itch on your bed covers?
No, the beards only itch after like the first 2 weeks because the hairs are long enough to curl around and poke you in the face. Once they get past a certain length, they don't curl around and poke you in the face. That's why they get itchy.
Right. Do you shampoo it or anything, or do you use face wash?
Yeah, I use beard wash, which is like a shampoo and conditioner mix. Once a week, usually. If you wash it too much, it dries it out and it goes really poofy.
Is it different if you comb it to if you don't comb it, or is there no difference?
So I run my fingers through it to keep it kind of together, because if I comb it, it spreads out too much, and again, it looks thinner.
Right.
And I don't really like that look so much.
So you want it closer.
So I like it a bit
bunched up,
closer,
denser.
brush it, comb it sometimes if it's all wacky.
Okay.
But yeah.
And the tash.
Yeah.
Does it interfere with kissing or eating or any of those activities?
100%. Yeah.
It does.
You can use a bit of moustache wax to kind of pull it out the way to the side, and people talk about training it. I've never cut mine, and I suggest people don't as well. It's better to grow it but once it's a certain length, you can kind of wax it to the sides. But but kissing and that, 100%, mate.
So your girl or guy has got to like it.
They've got to like it. They've got to get used to it because it can get a bit uncomfortable when it gets all in your mouth when you're having a good snog.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us.
Thank you.
If, like I say, if you're watching this on SoundCloud or podcast or YouTube or Instagram, we're on all the platforms. So search for Men's Health Hacks and Baldcafe to watch all of Harry's videos and advice.
Yes.
Pleasure, mate, and look forward to catching up with you in the next video.
Thank you.
All about your business.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back soon.
We'll see you soon.